Alright, so right here, coming in with my 00 again. Tapers are probably the only haircuts that I'll do the 00 first to get it started. So it is something that I recommend you think about. On other haircuts, I wouldn't start it with a 00. I'd still start off with a 0. Tapers are just such a small area that it's easier to begin with a 00. Now I'll come in with the shaver. Nice and cleaned up. Alright, so on his hair that it's like a wavier texture, I'll go ahead and run the guard with the grain. So when you cut hair with the grain, what ends up happening is the guard combs the hair, and then whatever hair doesn't want to get combed to that length gets cut off by the clipper. So your guard length does determine how much hair you do cut off still, but a 5 with the grain is going to be significantly longer than a 5 against the grain, so make sure to be aware of that. And then I'll begin to fade down even with the grain cutting. Alright, so right here I'm going to get my 4, and even though I was cutting the top with a 5, I could still come down with the guard slowly. So right here I'm going to start off with a 4.5 and just work my way around, similar to if I was cutting his hair against the grain. A lot of barbers don't really do that enough. They'll do like a 4 or 5 or whatever number they want with the grain, but then they won't slowly start to transition that with the grain cutting into the fade on the side. So now I'll go ahead and close it to a 4. And again, the lower I close my guard, the further away from the top I'm going to stay. So right here I'm going to go ahead and throw my 3 guard on. And again, lowering myself each time just to slowly bring down the shape of the head with the grain cutting. And then once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and cut the sides against the grain. But right now I'm just trying to soften out my silhouette. Here now I'm going to start off with a bigger guard, and I'm going to begin going against the grain, just slightly connecting into it. So here's going to be the 7. So remember, don't create a line, just work into what you already have and try to have a nice smooth exit as you're cutting. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and throw my 5 guard on. Go ahead and open it up. And again, I'm just slowly working the weight down so that I can connect all the sides into the top. Once I've got down to about the 3, I can start working on my taper. So right here, I'll get my 3 guard. I'm gonna start off with it open. Start working my way right around the silhouette of the head. So I'm gonna go right into the side of the curve. I'm gonna go right into the side of his head right here, so that I can soften out that area right where I'm gonna be tapering into. If you see any little areas where the hair still kind of like could look a little better transition, that's when I like using my blending shears just to come in and slightly connect anything on the top and the sides. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean up all these little hairs to give me a cleaner canvas. I like doing this on pretty much all my haircuts. I like working it down to at least the neck strip. And then I'll shave it a little bit later on in the haircut, but for this point I just kind of like having a nice clean canvas, and then it allows me to see the shading that I'm going to have to work my way in through. Alright, so right here I'm just going to go ahead and start off with my clipper open. I'm going to mark a new guide. Now anytime you're fading up, guys, always try to exit on that nice exit point. You're always going to want to try to just make sure you're not leaving a harsh line behind. So as you see, every time I'm coming out, I always make sure to just rock the clipper off the head completely, so I have a soft exit point. Now I'm going to go ahead and close up my clipper about 2 clicks. And the more I close my clipper, the further away from that top line I'm going to stay. So now if you see, I'm not going as high as I did earlier, and I'm just slowly working the back of that taper down. But the more I close my clipper, like right here, I'm going to go ahead and close it again, another 2 clicks. The more I close my clipper, the further from that top line I stay. And then on wavy hair, right now I'm using a brush. You might want to transition over to a comb as it gets a little bit longer, so that way you could really comb the hair out. It's going to be really important on this texture of hair that you're consistently combing. Then I'm going to close up the clipper to its final click, which is the shortest point. Which again, when I created this line, it was with a 00. So most of the time you're gonna hopefully be able to blend this line out as long as you didn't mark that 00 a little too harsh. But if not, you are gonna have to bring your T-edger back in to do just the fine detailing. But before you do that, I would try to get out as much as possible with your clipper closed. All right, so here I'm gonna grab my 1.5 guard and just go slightly above the line I already created so I can start softening out that top line. I'm never really trying to create a line at this point. I'm just trying to work in slowly. I'm gonna close it up 2 clicks. And again, each time I'm trying to remember to slowly stay lower and lower on the haircut. Here's another 2 clicks. I'm just working my way back and forth like a printer. And then I'll go down to the final click. And at this point, I'm really just trying to stay on the bottom of it to soften it out, because I still got to use the 1 guard and the half guard before I get down to my clipper open. We got the 1 guard open. Close it up about 2 clicks. Close it up 2 more clicks. And then close it up its final click. So again, guys, just working your lever down, continuously brushing the hair. So right here, I'm gonna come down to my half guard. If you see, I switched over to a comb. A comb's gonna really help me brush out all the hair and comb it straight, so that way when I come in and cut it, because remember, curly hair is gonna try to run away from you as you're cutting it. Because remember, your guard works as a comb as well, so sometimes this half guard is going to be pushing that hair up or combing that hair up, and the clipper behind it that's actually supposed to cut the hair isn't getting the chance to, because the half guard's pushing it away. So you're going to have to work on curly hair a little different, curly wavy hair, so you're going to consistently comb and cut. And right here I'm going to close up about 2 more clicks, close up 1 more click. And this part you could really just take your time, guys. It's probably the most important part of the fade. So right here, again, just working your fade down slowly. Anytime you're looking at a certain dark spot, you want to try to utilize your clipper as much as possible in that area. And then if it can't get it, then you can go down just slightly at a time. That's the cool thing about all these new clippers and technology, guys. They really do help you on these little microscopic parts of the haircut. So right here, 1 last final click. And this is pretty much as short as it gets without going to the clipper by itself. So I'm going to really make sure to put in a detail, especially on the bottom end of that, because I don't want to have to do a lot of work with my clipper by itself again, because sometimes you'll get into trouble with that and you'll end up like having to do a whole haircut again because you went too high with it. Back to just my clipper. And again, right now I'm just super detailing any little lines that I see. And at this point in the haircut, I'm definitely just going to work 1 click at a time down, because I don't want to take this fade any higher. I like where the fade's coming out. I want to make sure that it stays there, but I do want to make sure any type of like line or transition that could be a little smoother, I want to make sure to really try to get that done without compromising the rest of the haircut. And then again, your taper is never going to look as clean as it should until you do the side edges, so keep that in mind whenever you are working. Alright, so right here I'm going to start working in the lineup. Trying to go nice and clean, as wide as possible. Now some people might have wide necklines. His is normal, but some people might have wide necklines, so you might have to dig it in. So just be aware of that. You want it to look like natural when it comes down to this part of the haircut. And then right here, working my way around. There we go. Alright, so right here, just going to come in, start edging up just the little hairs that are regrowing. Remember, the longer the haircut is on top, sometimes you'll have a lot of these longer hairs that stick over. It's because those hairs are cut to a certain length. That does not pertain to the actual area where the hair begins to line up. So you want to make sure you're taking that into consideration whenever you are lining up somebody's neck. If they have long hair on top, sometimes you might have to dig in just a little bit, only because you're not necessarily digging into the natural growth pattern of the hair. You're more just cutting off hairs that are hanging over the growth pattern of the hair. So right here again, just make sure to take your time on it, make it look nice and clean. You could use your razor as well. Right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and use a shaver for now. All right, there we go, same thing right here. All right, so right here, I'm gonna go ahead and with the clipper open, kind of create my first guide off of this side. Gonna go ahead and close it up 2 clicks, close it up to 1 more click, and continue to just slowly work it down. And then again, working the beard down and closing up the clipper slowly. The more I close it, the higher I stay, because again, right here we're fading backwards. So I'm trying to make the fade transition down slowly into a darker area. Right here, clipper open, go ahead and close it up about 2 clicks. Now, since I'm working into a darker shade on top, the more I close my clipper, the lower I'm gonna stay. So right here, I have the clipper completely closed. And remember, on tapers, I usually started off with a 00. So depending on how you have your clipper set up, you might not be able to transition that line out, but you definitely wanna put the most amount of work with your clipper before you go back to just the T-edger by itself. Now I can come in with the T-edger and kind of just get this little area taken out. But again, you want to try to do as much with the clipper as possible, so when you come with your T-edger, you're not doing too much work right here. And the same thing right here, since I already have the T-edger in my hand, I'm going to go ahead and start lining up the beard. And again, I want to go right above where I actually think it should be, but that way I have room to correct it, and then also just slippage, because whenever you put any type of shave gel or shave cream, you could slip just a little bit, and like this, you give yourself, just room to be safe than sorry. I'd rather have hair and not need it than need hair and not have it. All right, so now I've already done the clipper open here, so I'm gonna just work. Remember, I did a 3 guard here earlier, down to a clipper open. So I have the 2, 1.5, 1, and half to kind of run through to make sure that I'm connecting into this top line as best as possible. So let's go ahead and just start off with the 2 guard. I'm going to start off right here. And again, just slowly bringing the haircut in. And then right here, that little bit of an area you see right around the ear, that's what I was talking about earlier. If you ever see little transitions like that where you feel like it could be smoother, you could work your guards through it. Sometimes I just like to use my blending shears there. So I'll bring that in right now for reference. But right here, again, remember, I'm still working with the 2. And I know that I'm at about a 3 on the side that I'm connecting into, and then I'm just slowly bringing down the weight so that way the 2 guard will help me connect the 1.5, the 1, and the half better. Right here, this is what I was talking about earlier, guys. I'm going to come in with my blending shears and just slowly work the tips of it. And then again, now you could see that it already kind of helps to bring down that weight. And you want to do it just lightly on the tips. You don't want to go too far close to the base, because then you could be creating problems later. So right there, now you can see where it looks a lot nicer, a lot sharper. All right, so right here, guys, I'm going to now bring in the 1.5 now that I already connected the sides. And just slowly work it down. I'm going to close it now. And again, you always want to remember to brush curly hair, because it is going to give you a different look when you do comb it or brush it. So it's a comb and cut right here. 1 guard open. And again, I'm just using the corner of the guard, because at this point the fade's already starting to look good, but there's little details that I want to get a little bit better. I just don't want to compromise the rest of the haircut or take the fade too high, so that way it's always better to be safe than sorry. And I'm just using the corner of my 1 guard, and then I'm closing it about 2 clicks. And then I'm going to continue to work that down. 2 more clicks. So right here, again, just slow detail area. And then finally the last click. And just slightly. Now I'm going to come in with my half guard. Just slowly open this up. So remember, the half guard open is pretty much where the one guard closed left off. So that's what I'm going to continue bringing down, right where I was at with the one guard closed, and just bring it down slowly. It's right here. And then now I'm going to close it up about 2 clicks. And then now I'm just going to close it up completely. And then there's some little hairs back here that I want to cut off, and then it'll help bring that taper out. So right here, just using the corner of the clipper, being very aware of where the other side of my blade is, because I have students that they sometimes forget that the rest of the clipper still cuts, even though they're focusing on one area. So always be aware of that, guys, as you're working it. So again, once I have the Adrian in my hand, I do try to eliminate anything I see that could help me as far as for timing. Could have did this earlier as well. And then right here on him, I like to do a little bit of enhancements, and I'll show that right now in a little bit. And right here, I'm just going to get the back of this beard, because it does, again, help me know exactly how long to fade the beard, to make sure that the taper looks good on both the haircut and the beard. Right here, whenever I'm doing enhancements, guys, I usually just shoot for the top corner. So that way I just try to hit that little space there a couple times, and that way when I remove it, it already kind of naturally fades into the haircut. I don't really like doing the C-cups too much. I feel like that one kind of takes away from the haircut. But that's going to be purely preference. Alright, so right here, just going to clean it up just a little bit. And then right here on the beard, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with just a little bit as well. I want to make sure I'm looking in his front profile to see where I'm at. And first I want to get the corner down to where there is hair, because remember, with enhancements, guys, I want to actually enhance what already exists. Same thing here, just real lightly. And notice that when I spray, I let the back part of the spray land on the high point of the taper. So that way when I remove it, it looks nice and natural with the haircut. Now, since I put enhancements, I won't use too much shave gel. I'll go ahead and spray just a little bit of water to give me some sorts of lubrication for the skin so I don't irritate it. And then now I'll just come in and slowly start lining this up. Fun fact, I actually never shave in this angle, but these cameras be hitting me cutting weird. There we go. And that way it looks nice and sharp. And again, when you use enhancements, guys, I always try to leave it so that it looks natural and works with the hair that he actually has. I'm not trying to create something that doesn't exist. I'm just going to come in, slowly line up the front. Alright guys, so here's a full look at the cut. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to try to do more content. This is the first time I actually got to do it on my own camera, off of my phone. Let me know what you think in the comments. And again, the enhancements, just a little cleanup on the beard, nothing too crazy. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram at Adrian the Barber. There it is, guys. Have a good day.